The court is quiet. Quiet enough that you can hear the soft whir of the fluorescent lights overhead. Kody Brown occupies the defendant's table, his fingers clenched around the edge so hard his knuckles are white as bone. Before him lies a solitary VHS tape on the evidence table. One tape, that was enough to take down a man who had thought he was above everything. And now, that tape might be worth it to him. Everything, his reputation, his family, and $3 million. But how did this happen? How did one of America's best-known polygamists, the man who put his family on TV in front of the entire world, end up in a heated legal fight so dramatic, it feels taken straight out of a Hollywood movie? Stick with me, because what I'm about to tell you is a tale of betrayal, deception, and a shocking court battle that had millions left speechless. And before we start, ask me this: if you had one piece of evidence that could kill someone you loved, would you use it? Leave your response in the comments, because by the end of this tale you might just find your answer in flux. It doesn't begin in the courtroom. It begins in the peaceful living room of Christine Brown's house in Flagstaff. The time was 2019, years before the pandemic, but drama in the Brown household was already coming to a boil. Christine had unearthed something she shouldn't have found: a tape, a vintage recording from the early seasons of Sister Wives, one that never actually aired. On that recording, Cody wasn't the dashing patriarch viewers had come to adore on TV. No, this was something else. He was overheard in an intimate conversation, one where his comments could be read as manipulative, even coercive. Horrors, they spoke of money involved in the proceeds of the show, money that might not be equitably shared among the wives. Christine, devastated and angry, hid the tape away. She didn't know when she'd use it, but she knew someday she might. What would you do if a secret like this fell into your lap? Would you protect the family name? Or protect yourself? Flash forward 2 years later. Christine was gone. Her marriage to Cody had broken down under the strain of shattered vows and years of emotional abandonment. Janelle was halfway out the door, and even Meri, once so devoted, was sliding into silence. Robyn stayed on, but even she could not protect Cody from what was to come. The lawsuit struck like a thunderclap. Christine sued not for herself, but for her children. She charged fraud involving money, $3 million spent improperly, money that had been meant to cover their care, their future, their education. Cody dismissed it at first. One of his wives sues him. Preposterous. TLC would never allow it to happen. But then the subpoena arrived, and with it, discovery. And instantly the tape Christine had kept for years was at the center of the lawsuit. This was no longer just a family squabble. It was going to turn into a legal battle that would be fought in the cold, harsh lights of a courtroom. Underscore, 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 underscore. The day of the trial was pandemonium. Sister Wives fans waited outside the courthouse, hoping to glimpse the reality TV drama they'd been watching for more than a decade. Within, Cody entered with Robyn at his elbow, his hair long and slicked back behind him, his expression a mask of stone. On the opposite side of the aisle, Christine arrived with her attorneys, her gaze narrowed, shoulders squared. She was not here as an ex-wife anymore. She was here as a warrior. The judge called the case Christine Brown versus Kody Brown. The room had a sense of vibrating under the significance of it. Christine's lawyer didn't hesitate. In his opening remarks, he informed the jury, this is a case of betrayal. Not only of a wife, but of children, of trust, and of financial responsibility. And at the heart of it all, ladies and gentlemen, is one tape. A tape that substantiates everything. Cody's lawyer scoffed. He assured the jury it was just a family fight, a reality TV plotline, exaggerated to the point of absurdity. But inside, Cody knew it, the fear inching through his body. He knew what was on that tape. And he knew that when the jury heard it, everything would be different. Have you ever witnessed someone so self-assured, suddenly find the ground under them disintegrating? That is what was shortly to befall Cody. Section 1 ends not with a bang, but with the very sound of a VCR machine winding on. The projector in the courtroom comes to life. The jury leans forward. Christine clutches the arm of her seat. Cody, the tape starts playing. For an instant, the courtroom is silent, except for the quiet hiss of static. Then a low-res image of Kody Brown appears on the screen. Younger, his curls slightly thicker, his voice slightly lighter. He's seated in what appears to be a dimly lit office, his back against a bookshelf. It looks innocuous at first, just one more glimpse behind the scenes from early Sister Wives. But then his words cut through the silence like a blade. I don't care if the wives complain, Cody says, his voice harder than the public had ever heard. The contracts are mine. TLC listens to me. If they get a cut, it's because I say so. The jury leans forward, mouths agape slightly. Christine's eyes shine, but she refuses to blink. Robyn looks at the screen, her fingers wrapped tightly around the end of her seat. Can you sense it? That instant when truth breaks out of the darkness, and there is no possibility of pushing it back in. That is what every single person in that room is experiencing right now. The lawyer stops the tape. He allows the silence to hang. 5 seconds, 10 seconds, long enough for the words to have an impact. Then he turns to the jury. This, he states curtly, is not reality television. This is reality, Mr. Brown commandeered money intended to take care of his children, and kept it all for himself. The tape is evidence. His own words are his guilty verdict. Cody's attorney jumps up. Objection. The tape is out of context. This was a private conversation, never meant to be used as evidence of fraud. He was blowing off steam, that's all. But the judge refuses to budge. Overruled. The jury will determine the meaning of the tape. And with that, the course of events is altered. Cody's eyes flick to Robyn, his jaw tight, sweat on his temple. Robyn mouths silently. Don't react. Don't give them anything. But Cody can't resist. His knee jounces. Fingers drum on the table. The patriarch who once commanded 4 households with absolute power for the first time appears helpless. Isn't it ironic how fast power can disappear? How a man who once ruled over a family of 20 plus can be muzzled by his own voice on a screen. Underscore, 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 underscore. Christine is called to the stand. The room is made even heavier. She isn't angry looking. No, that would have been too simple for Cody's legal team to ignore. She appears to be calm, composed, almost sad. See, when I first saw that tape, she starts, her voice firm but gentle. I knew I had a decision. I could shield Cody's reputation, or I could shield my children. And I shielded my children. Her lawyer nods. Can you tell the court what makes this tape significant? Christine looks at the jury. Because it proves that Cody viewed us as pawns. He had control of the contracts, the finances, the show. We believed it was about family. But for him, it was about domination. And that domination cost us millions. Cody can't help himself. He says something under his breath and shakes his head. The judge gives him a warning look. Picture sitting across from someone who swore to love you forever and then sit there and dismantle every fantasy of who they profess to be. That's what Christine is doing exactly. But Christine is not the first with a story to tell. Janelle, normally reserved and practical, is next on the stand. Her testimony is not impassioned. It's heartbreaking in its accuracy. She speaks of calls in the middle of the night, budget forms that never balanced, vows Cody made that seemed to disappear into the ether. Beware of strangers bearing gifts. Janelle's voice cracks for a heartbeat. I trusted him, she continues. But when I asked him questions about where the money was going, he assured me I didn't have to worry. He told me he had it under control. Now I know. He was just controlling it for himself. Robyn clasps her hands together, the knuckles white. She whispers something to Cody, but he doesn't react. His eyes are on the jury, hunting for a spark of sympathy. There is none. It's no longer a lawsuit. It's a reckoning. A family shedding years of cover-up under the bright light of truth. By halfway through the trial, the emotional burden is too much. Reporters line up outside the courthouse, dubbing it the polygamy trial of the decade. The show's fans vent online, some in defense of Cody, others applauding Christine and Janelle for standing up. Inside the courtroom, Meri finally speaks up. She gets on the stand, her hands shaking as she holds a crumpled piece of paper. I never wanted it to come to this, she begins, her voice cracking. I stood by him when no one else would. I relinquished my legal marriage so he could marry Robyn. I kept telling myself it was for the family. But this tape revealed to me the truth. He never loved the family. He loved control. And I can't stand by anymore. The courtroom is silent. Even the judge appears moved by the brutal candor of her words. Cody gazes at her, incredulity chiseled into every feature of his face. Meri, he breathes, but she doesn't glance at him. What do you do when the very last person you believed was in your corner walks away? For Cody, that moment just happened. As Section 2 comes to a close, the tension is palpable. The tape has been heard by the jury. They've listened to Christine, Janelle, and now Meri. 3 wives, 3 voices, 3 arrows straight into Cody's kingdom. A recess is called by the judge. Cody stands up, his body tense, his face flushed with repressed anger. He is facing Robyn. They're lying, he spits. They're all lying. But Robyn doesn't respond. Tears stream in her eyes, her lips clamped shut. For the first time, even she seems unsure. And as the bailiff leads the jury out, Christine looks over the aisle at Cody. She doesn't speak. She doesn't have to. Her silence is a scream. The gavel rings down. Recess. And the viewers are left with one outstanding question. When the trial continues, will the tape be sufficient to end Cody's rule forever? Because sometimes one piece of evidence doesn't just reveal the truth, it annihilates everything in its wake. The recess is done. The jury returns, their faces inscrutable, their eyes ahead. Kody Brown sits rigidly at the defense table, his arms crossed, his jaw clenched hard. He's no longer the assured head of a large family. He's a man trapped, a man who knows the walls are closing in. Then the judge's voice booms out from behind the bench. Mr. Brown, the time has come for cross-examination. The room quiets. This is the moment everyone has been waiting for. The opportunity to hear Cody himself get grilled. Have you ever watched someone walk deliberately into their own ruin? That's what we're going to watch. As Cody gets up onto the witness stand, Cody stands up, fastening his jacket as if closing it would reassert his authority. He approaches the witness stand, sits down, and folds his hands carefully in his lap. The bailiff administers the oath. Then Christine's lawyer draws near. Mr. Brown, the lawyer starts smoothly. Let's discuss this tape. Cody sneers. It's out of context. A private moment. Nothing more. The lawyer leans in. So when you mentioned, the contracts are mine, and TLC listens to me, what was meant by that? Cody fidgets in his seat. I meant I was the family spokesperson. There had to be someone for people to go through. The lawyer doesn't flinch. And when you said, if they get a cut, it's because I say so. Did you mean your wife's share of the money? Cody pauses. The silence is fatal. At last he replies, I meant negotiation. I was frustrated. I didn't mean that I controlled the money literally. Christine's lawyer addresses the jury. Ladies and gentlemen, listen to what he just conceded. He was frustrated because he had to share. That's not leadership. That's greed. Cody's face reddens. He clutches the sides of the stand. No, that is not true. I gave up everything for this family. Everything. His voice breaks, filled with fury and anguish. Isn't it eerie when a man who used to inspire respect now sounds like he is pleading to be heard? The lawyer pushes further. Mr. Brown, did you ever benefit personally from TLC in addition to what you received as a distribution to your wives? No, I did not. Are you certain? Because we have bank statements that indicate otherwise. Gasps spread through the courtroom. Even the judge raises his eyebrows. Christine's lawyer sets a pile of papers on the evidence table. These accounts reflect money channeled into a different LLC. An LLC owned by you. Mr. Brown. Cody's eyes widen. His mouth opens but no words escape. Robyn shifts uncomfortably, hand to mouth. The lawyer's tone is acuter. So tell us, if you weren't keeping money under wraps, why didn't you reveal this LLC to your wives? There is oppressive silence. Cody gazes at the document, his face white. At last he blurts, they wouldn't have gotten it. It was complex. Christine slowly shakes her head, tears welling up in her eyes. Janelle closes hers, as if unable to watch. This is when the courtroom becomes aware. It's not about a tape anymore. It's about betrayal, combined with financial dishonesty. Then, there's the most tearful testimony of the day. The oldest child of Christine, Aspen, gets up on the stand. She gazes at the jury, her voice shaking but firm. When we were small, we were told that everything was equal. That's what plural marriage was supposed to be. Everyone loved, everyone mattered. But once the cameras stopped rolling, it wasn't equal. Dad made choices that left us penniless. And he lived in comfort. Bait tape confirms what we always knew. We weren't his priority. Cody's face pleats. He mouths the words. That's not true. But Aspen doesn't even look his way. She gazes steadily at the jury, her voice holding decades of dismay. I wanted to believe in him, she says quietly, but he believed more in power than in us. The room is still. No one breathes. Sometimes the most brutal truth doesn't come from a foe. It comes from your own child. The defense scrambles. Cody's lawyer stands, his voice sharp. Miss Brown, isn't it true that you've had disagreements with your father for years? That this testimony is motivated by resentment? Aspen doesn't flinch. No, this isn't resentment. This is reality. And I'm not the only one who lived it. The lawyer attempts again, but it's in vain. The harm is done. The jury has witnessed it. The anguish in her voice, the earnestness in her eyes. Cody slumps back, defeated, his shoulders hunched. Robyn murmurs wildly in his ear, but he doesn't flinch. His kingdom is sliding away from his grasp, and everyone can see it. When even your own children turn against you, how much longer can the illusion last? By late afternoon, the tension is exquisite. Christine's lawyer brings the session to a close, with one final question for Cody. Mr. Brown, do you think the jury should believe your word? Or your tape? The courtroom is silent. The jury looks at him, waiting. Cody's mouth opens, but nothing comes out. For the first time, Kody Brown has no response. The judge demands adjournment, his gavel ringing out with the sound of a death knell. The jurors exit, their faces expressionless, their minds weighed down with evidence. Cody sits frozen in his chair, his eyes fixed on the vacant witness stand, where his daughter sat. His eyes are empty, his mouth agape. He appears to be a man who's only now starting to comprehend the gravity of his own ruination. The lights dim, the cameras flash, the outside world holds its breath. But within, there's only silence. Tomorrow it all could fall apart. And the one question everyone is wondering is simple. What else will this courtroom bring into the daylight before the verdict? The courtroom buzzes with electricity. Newsmen have started referring to this as the trial that destroyed the Browns, and today is guaranteed to be the most incendiary so far. Outside the courthouse entrance are lenses of cameras, fans holding up signs, some of which say, "Justice for Christine," others boldly stating Team Cody. But the atmosphere within is thick, choking, as if everybody is aware something devastating is about to occur. The judge clears his throat. Today we proceed with additional evidence and testimony. Counsel, please proceed. Christine's lawyer gets up slowly and states, Your Honor, the next witness is one who has intimate knowledge of Mr. Brown's financial affairs. Knowledge that will surprise everyone in this room. Each head swivels. The door swings open, and in walks a past TLC producer. The jury tenses. Cody's eyes go wide with fear. Even Robyn's mouth opens in shock. This isn't family versus family anymore. This is the network attacking one of its stars. The producer stands, his attitude measured but his tone icy. I collaborated directly with Mr. Brown on the early seasons of Sister Wives. I attended meetings, conference calls, contract talks, and what I observed was disturbing. The lawyer moves in. Please describe to the jury what you observed. The producer nods. Cody insisted on being the sole point of contact with TLC. He told us directly that the wives didn't need to know the financial details. He said, I'll handle the numbers. They just handle the drama. A murmur ripples through the courtroom. Christine's attorney presses further. And how did TLC respond to this? The producer hesitates, then sighs. We let it slide. He was the face of the show. He knew how to play the part. But looking back, it's clear. He used that role to cut deals for himself, at the expense of his family. Cody shoots to his feet, slamming his hand on the table. Lies, all lies. You're twisting everything. The judge bangs his gavel. Mr. Brown, sit down. Another outburst and you'll be held in contempt. Cody sinks back into his chair, his chest pumping, his eyes wildly scanning the jury. But their faces are immovable, cold and unyielding. Aren't you heartbroken when the people you believed would defend your honor turn out to be the ones who reveal it? and then the emotional punch. Christine is recalled to the stand, not as an accuser but a mother. Her lawyer asks gently, "Christine, how did these financial choices affect your children?" Christine gulps. Her eyes well up with tears. "Do you have any idea what it's like to say to your daughter, you can't go to the college of her dreams because the money's gone? Do you have any idea what it's like to see your son borrow debt? He'll be paying for years while their father's sitting on money he never shared with us. That's the price. It wasn't dollars. It was their futures." Her voice cracks, and for a moment the entire courtroom holds its breath. Even the judge lowers his gaze, visibly moved. Across the room, Cody looks away, his face a mixture of rage and shame. Robyn reaches for his hand, but he jerks it away. Sometimes the harshest judgment doesn't come from the law. It comes from the look in your children's eyes when they realize you've failed them. But the day is not yet over. Janelle is summoned, this time with her own documents in hand. She waves bank statements, line item budget, even text messages. "These aren't assumptions," she asserts. "These are receipts. I begged him to account for these withdrawals. He said not to worry. But see, thousands gone, month after month, all deposited into accounts he held alone." Christine's lawyer hands over the documents to the jury. They read through the paper, furrows on their brows, pens scribbling notes. Cody's lawyer stands up, desperation seeping into his tone. "Objection, Your Honor. This is pure speculation." The judge shakes his head. "Overruled. The jury will decide on the evidence." The defense falls apart a little more. Did you ever see a fortress crumble, bit by bit, stone by stone, brick by brick, until all you're left with is rubble? That's what is occurring to Cody's defense today. And then, the unthinkable. Meri, who has been sitting silently in the gallery, stands up and asks to speak to the court. The judge pauses, then nods. She approaches the stand, her face white, her hands shaking. "I wasn't going to say anything," she starts quietly, "but I can no longer keep quiet. I sacrificed my legal marriage to Cody so that he could marry Robyn. I said it was for family, but deep down inside I knew it was about control. I knew it was about money. And when I watched that tape, when I watched him so easily dismiss us, I knew I was complicit in his cover-up." She is crying now. Her voice cracks. "I was his alibi, his excuse, and I will regret that for the rest of my life." The courtroom is in shock. Even Christine and Janelle are shocked at the emotion of her admission. Cody's face contorts, his lips shaking, his eyes blaring with anger. "Meri, no. Don't do this." But Meri doesn't let up. She sets her jaw, her voice firm once more. "This isn't about me anymore. It's about the truth. And sometimes the truth doesn't simply make you free. It incinerates everything you believed you knew into ash." The session is almost over, but one final blow is saved by Christine's lawyer. He holds up the tape once more and addresses the jury directly. "This tape was not supposed to be seen. But once you've heard it, once you've seen the evidence, once you've heard his wives and his children, ask yourselves, can you ever unhear it? Can you ever unsee it?" The projector clicks off. The screen is black. There is silence in the air, heavy and heavy with it. The judge's gavel crashes down. Court adjourned until tomorrow. But as everyone stands up, one person does not stir. Kody Brown. He remains seated, his skin white, his lips clamped together so tightly they are nearly white. For the first time, he is broken, truly broken. The jury exits. Christine collects her belongings, her face serene but determined. Janelle mouths something into her ear. Meri stays by the aisle, head bowed. Robyn dabs at her tears, attempting to console Cody, but he brushes her off. And as camera flashes pop outside the courtroom, one thing is certain: tomorrow's testimony will determine it all. Because if today was Judgment Day for secrets, tomorrow will be Judgment Day for survival. And not everybody will get through with their honor in tow. The courtroom is abuzz. The bailiff hasn't even cracked the doors before a tide of reporters, relatives, and curious spectators flood in, their low-voiced murmurs ringing off the wooden paneling like foretastes of suspense. Today isn't an ordinary day of testimony. Today is Judgment Day. The judge arrives, face grim, robe billowing, and the jury files in, stone-faced and tired. Everyone's aware the case has come to a breaking point, but no one, not even the volatile Kody Brown himself, has any inkling of just how explosive today is going to be. Christine's lawyer stands up first, his voice steady but firm. "Your Honor, the plaintiffs are ready to lay out the testimony that will bring all the threads together. The tape, the money, the betrayal, It all hangs on this. The room freezes. Even the scratch of pens stops. And then, like a grenade tossed into quiet, the attorney utters, "We call Robyn Brown to the stand." Gasps, murmurs. Cody's head jerks toward her, his eyes bulging with shock. "No," he breathes softly. "Not you, not now." But Robyn won't glance at him. She rises, pats her blazer, and makes her way slowly to the witness stand, her heels ringing out like drumbeats. Because when loyalty shatters within a marriage, the truth doesn't simply hurt. It explodes. Robyn sits, visibly trembling, but her voice is strong. "I never wanted to be here. I never wanted to testify against my husband, but the truth has a way of demanding to be heard." Christine's lawyer leans in. "Mrs. Brown, did you know about the secret accounts?" Robyn swallows. "Yes." The word lingers in the air, thick as lead. "Yes," she says, louder now. "I knew, he told me not to tell. He said if the others knew, the family would split up. He said it was for the best of everyone. But the thing is, it was never for the family. It was for him." Cody erupts, jumping to his feet. "You ungrateful." The judge bangs his gavel. "Mr. Brown, sit down." But the damage is inflicted. The jury is set on Robyn, their pencils scribbling across their notebooks. Isn't it incredible how easily silence becomes betrayal when the price is survival? Christine's lawyer produces a folder. "Mrs. Brown, would you mind reading these emails to the court?" The screen comes alive with projected text messages between Robyn and Cody. Cody on screen, "Keep quiet. Don't mention the tape. I'll handle it. If this gets out, we both lose everything." Robyn reply, "Cody, this isn't right. They deserve to know." "Cody, do you want to lose the house? The cars? Think of Solomon. Think of Ariella." Silence is the only way. The courtroom gasps. Christine buries her face in her hands. Janelle shakes her head, biting her lip. Robyn dabs away her tears. "I wanted to defend my children, but I cannot defend them with lies. Not now." Because when the falsehood weighs more than the truth, even the best of friends become witnesses. The defense lawyer frantically tries to take back the reins. He paces in front of the jury. "Ladies and gentlemen, this is all nothing more than bickering about marriage. Husbands and wives fight. They blow things up, they say things they don't mean. But Christine's lawyer is not." He bangs a fresh exhibit on the table, bank withdrawal slips, signed in Cody's own handwriting. "Not exaggeration," he asserts. "Evidence." He addresses Robyn. "Mrs. Brown, did you personally gain from these secret funds?" Robyn nods her head. "No, I pleaded with him to spend them on the kids, but he said he needed them to save his legacy." The jury tilts in. Defend his reputation? What reputation would be worth $3 million for betrayal? Sometimes it's not about the money. It's about the kingdom one believes they must reign over. Then comes the turn. No one saw coming. Christine's lawyer clears his throat. The plaintiffs would like to play a final excerpt from the tape. The screen flickers. Cody's voice is heard filling the room. Robyn knows the truth. She's the only one who knows. So long as she shuts up, I'm invincible. Christine's too emotional. Janelle's too practical. Meri's too desperate. None of them can bring me down. Not without her. The room paralyzes. Everyone's eyes turn to Robyn, her face white, tears streaming down her face. She speaks softly, almost inaudibly. "I told him not to do it. I told him this was wrong." Cody's fists hit the table. "That is not what I meant. You're twisting this." But the jury is no longer listening to him. They're watching Robyn. They're watching a wife caught between loyalty and truth, between defending her husband and preserving her children's future. And in that moment, it's obvious Cody's empire isn't just falling apart, it's coming down around him. When the tape makes your own words the weapon, there's no defense strong enough to shield you. The judge calls for a short recess. The jury files out, whispering among themselves. Reporters dash out the doors to break the story. Robyn Brown turns against Cody on the stand. Inside, the family sits in stunned silence. Christine clutches Janelle's hand. Meri sits stiff, eyes forward, as if reliving every regret. Cody moves towards Robyn, his voice a snake hiss. "You think they'll love you now? You think they'll forgive you? You just ruined everything." Robyn never blinks. She simply whispers back, "No, Cody, you did." And she walks away. Sometimes the most fatal betrayal is not from those who seek your destruction. It is from the one being who promised to never leave your side. When the recess is over and the jury is back in the room, the judge's voice thunders through the room. Tomorrow, closing arguments will commence. The jury will deliberate. Until then, court is in recess. Everyone breathes in unison. The gavel comes down. But for Kody Brown, this isn't relief. It's doom unfolding step by step. For now, with his own wife taking the stand against him, the $3 million verdict hangs as a storm cloud ready to burst. The lights flash as the family departs. Christine strides proud. Janelle brings up the rear, head held high. Meri hangs back, speechless. And Robyn walks by herself, her face smeared with tears, her shaking hand unclenched. Cody brings up the rear, slouched, enraged, muttering oaths under his breath. And as doors swing shut behind him, the cliffhanger lingers heavy. When the verdict finally comes, will Cody lose only the lawsuit, or will he lose all that ever counted? The door to the jury room bangs close, and the courtroom suddenly becomes an empty shell. The atmosphere is thick, tense, heavy with expectation. No witnesses now. No tapes. No cross-examinations. It's all in the hands of 12 strangers sealed away in deliberation. Christine sits at the plaintiff table, holding Janelle's hand so tightly their knuckles whiten. Robyn is not in Cody's vicinity. She sits alone, eyes fixed on the ground, face white. Cody, on the other hand, sits back in his chair, arms folded, eyes scanning every inch of the room, as if he's looking for an exit. And you sense it. The tension, the fear, the unendurable burden of waiting. Because when you've said your last word, when every secret has been dragged into the light, the only thing left to fear is the truth of what strangers decide your fate should be. The jury has been out for hours. Reporters converge outside the courthouse, reporting live deliberations in progress in the $3 million Brown lawsuit. Social media is filled with speculation. Some predict Christine has it in the bag. Others claim Cody's charm will win over sympathy. Inside the courthouse, there is quiet. The judge has vacated chambers. The lawyers confer in hushed tones, and the family sits scattered on wooden benches, lost in their own minds. Christine stares up at the stained glass windows, behind the doors of the courtroom. I just want them to see it, to hear him like we heard him. She breathes to Janelle. Cody grumbles from the other side of the room. They'll see through it. They'll realize this is just a vendetta. His voice cracks around the edges, revealing his bluster. Isn't it eerie how one verdict can hold the power to restore your faith, or wreck your life? Hours creep by. The family paces, sighs, waits. At last, the bailiff comes crashing through the side door. The jury has reached a verdict. Gasp waves throughout the room. Everyone leaps to their seats. The judge returns, robes billowing, face inscrutable. All rise, the bailiff orders. The jury enters, each more inscrutable than the one before. Some look straight ahead. Others look down at their hands. Not a single one of them meets Cody's eye. The foreman grips the verdict form. The judge coughs. Did the jury agree unanimously? Yes, Your Honor. The foreman answers. Christine's heart pounds. Janelle mouths a prayer. Robyn hides her face in shaking hands. Cody's jaw hardens, his knuckles wrapped around the table. For in this instant, before the words are said, the world is suspended in cold, absolute silence, the silence that can shatter a man. The clerk grabs the paper and starts to read. In the matter of Christine Brown against Kody Brown, we the jury are in favor of the plaintiff. A gasp. Christine clenches her eyes shut, crying tears down her face. Janelle grasps her shoulder. Meri exhales a trembling breath. But the courtroom is not done. The clerk goes on. We award damages in the sum of $3 million. The words come crashing down like a hammer. Christine cries out unabashedly, falling into Janelle's arms. Robyn hides her face in her hands. Reporters jump to their feet, making a dash for the doors to broadcast the news. And Cody remains stuck. His face pales, his lips quivering, his breathing shallow. For once, the man who never lacked an answer has nothing to say. It's bad enough to dread the verdict. It's something else to have it cut through your existence, like a knife. The judge's voice boomed. Order in the court. Order, he slams the gavel down. But the din of the courtroom erupts. Christine sobs. The gallery is abuzz, and Cody is disintegrating before the eyes of all present. He gets up hastily, finger pointed at Christine. This is revenge. This is a setup. You think this makes any difference? You think money will heal what you ruined? The bailiff moves forward. But Christine stands up too. Her words cut across the commotion, strong and resolute. It's not about the money, Cody. It's about accountability. You taught us to live by your rules. Now you get to live by the real ones. The courtroom comes to a silence once more. Even the journalists stop talking in mid-sentence. Cody slumps back into his seat, glassy-eyed, beaten. Because sometimes the worst devastation isn't calculated in dollars. It's calculated in the shattering of a man's ego. The judge adjourns, gavel crashing like thunder. Court is dismissed. Christine and her lawyers are swarmed by the press the moment she exits. Christine, how are you feeling? What are you going to do with the money? Do you have any word for Cody? She keeps her head held high, voice firm. This wasn't about breaking him. This was about standing up. For me, for my kids, for the truth. And I hope every woman watching gets it. Silence doesn't save you. Truth does. The audience erupts into cheers and questions. Inside, Cody hangs back. He can't handle the cameras. He can't handle the headlines. Robyn passes by him without a look. Silent tears. Janelle and Christine depart as one. Shoulders squared. Meri lingers behind, face impassive. And Cody? He remains in the courtroom, gazing at the vacant jury box, muttering to himself. This isn't over. It can't be over. Because when a man loses everything in one verdict, the real story is only beginning. The camera flashes outside paint the courthouse, in strobe-like chaos. Reporters shout, fans cheer, and the Brown family splinters further apart. Christine walks away victorious, yet heavy with the cost. Robyn, broken but freed from her silence, vanishes into the crowd. Janelle breathes deep, relief etched across her face. Meri lingers, caught between sympathy and vindication. But Kody Brown, the kingpin at the center of it all, is left standing in the courthouse shadows. His kingdom lost, his reputation in tatters, his name forever linked with the tape that brought him down. And as the doors slam shut behind him, one question hangs over everything like a storm cloud. What does a man do when the verdict isn't just against his pocketbook, but against his conscience? The courthouse steps are pandemonium. Cameras flash like lightning. Reporters are calling over each other. And the sound of the crowd overshadows everything else. Christine is at the heart of it all, her attorney by her side, Janelle in the rear, and tears welling up in her eyes, not of defeat, but triumph. Christine, do you feel vindicated? One reporter calls out. Was this about money or revenge? Another fronts. Christine raises her hand, her voice firm, calm but fierce. This was about truth. It was about showing my children, and every woman watching, that silence is not protection. The truth always matters. The crowd applauds. The cameras keep rolling, and her words resonate far beyond the courthouse steps. While outside, the world whirls into chaos. Just inside the building, Cody stands in the shadows, watching out at the commotion through the glass doors. His jaw tightens, his fists shake. He can't set foot out there. Not now. Not when the world sees him crashing. Because when the cameras turn onto you, they don't simply capture your face, they capture your crash. The media firestorm rages like a wildfire. News channels plaster headlines across the country. Kody Brown loses $3 million lawsuit. Christine Brown emerges victorious in courtroom battle. Reality TV polygamist overthrown by secret recording. Talk shows discuss the case. Legal commentators analyze every detail. And social media goes wild with memes, hashtags and commentary. #Justice for Christine trends overnight, but in the background of the headlines, the Brown family splits further. Robyn, Cody's former closest confidant, stays out of sight, her phone filled with texts she can't muster up the courage to open. Janelle draws inner strength, publicly standing with Christine, supporting the decision to stand up for herself. Meri, quiet and observant, turns into a ghost in the wings, neither excoriating nor supporting Cody. And Cody? He descends. He throws down the remote control after watching his face on all the channels. They're making me the bad guy of my own life. He yells to the vacant living room. Robyn sits across from him, her face smeared with tears. Cody, you did this. You uttered those words. You stashed that money. You can't blame everyone else for everything. His stare is as cutting as a blade. I lost because you betrayed me. You took their side. Whispering almost too low to hear, Robyn says, I took the truth's side. Isn't it awful when the one person you relied on most becomes the mirror holding up your worst truth? weeks become days, and the backlash only intensifies. TLC issues a statement, distancing the company from Cody, suggesting that his own future with sister wives is far from certain. Sponsors drop out. Viewers swamp the network with calls to action. Keep Christine, keep Janelle, fire Cody. Christine, long questioned, is now a testament to strength. She sits for interviews, her voice steady but unyielding. For years I remained silent, but silence imprisoned me. If my story can save even one woman leave control behind, it was worth it. Her words go viral, passed from platform to platform, making her more than a reality TV star, but a champion of survivors. At the same time, Cody's universe narrows. His friends quit taking his calls. Business transactions collapse. Even members of his extended clan avoid him, not wanting to be tainted by the scandal. And in the quiet of his Flagstaff house, Cody starts to come apart. He wanders the hallways at night, talking to himself. He searches through dusty contracts, certain he can discover a loophole, a means of suing back, a means of taking it back. But each paper, each receipt, each signature makes him remember one thing. His own hands constructed the cage that now holds him. Because the bitterest prisons are not constructed of bars, they're constructed of decisions. The fractures in the family begin to show to the world. Christine flourishes, aided by her children, her strength replenished. Janelle finds independence, at last free from Cody's shadow. Meri recedes into quiet uncertainty, conflicted but mute, ever the outsider. Robyn, the former favorite, is a lightning rod for abuse. Fans decry her as complicit, weak, betrayed. And Cody, he retaliates in public. He sets up interviews, attempting to stage the scene. This was all Christine's plan. She's bitter, she's vindictive. This was never about money, it was about fame. But his tone is no longer as heavy-hitting. The world has watched the tape. The world has heard the verdict. Each denial sounds increasingly desperate, each defense emptier. When your mask slips, and the world sees who you are, no spin can sew it back on. In a final act of defiance, Cody calls a family meeting, insisting everyone come. Christine won't go. Janelle laughs at the idea. Meri is wavering but not going. Robyn alone appears, sitting opposite him at the long vacant dining table. He slams his fist. They betrayed me. All of them. After everything I gave, everything I created. I was the leader of this family, and now I'm the bad guy. I will not stand for it. Robyn's voice shakes, but it's firm. Cody, you never were the head. You were the burden we bore. And now we're free. Her words sting more than the verdict, more than Christine's lawsuit, more than public humiliation. Cody slumps back, his eyes glassy, his voice cracked. Then what am I without this family? What am I? The silence is savage. Robyn doesn't speak. She simply stands, walks to the door, and abandons him alone in the dark. Because sometimes the worst punishment is not money or jail. It's being left alone with yourself. Outside, Christine, Janelle, and even Meri are establishing new lives, new autonomy, new power. The cameras no longer box them up as subsidiary characters to the Cody saga. They are at last the stars of their own. But Cody, his tale is far from finished. Whispers circulate of appeals, of fresh lawsuits, of Hail Marys to regain the empire he's lost. His ego won't allow him to fade away quietly. And as the lights fade on this chapter, one last question lingers in the air like a storm on the horizon. If a man has already lost his fortune, his family and his reputation, what more is he willing to risk just to win back control? Night falls on Flagstaff. But in Kody Brown's household, turmoil simmers. He is seated at the dinner table, amidst piles of papers, contracts, and opened envelopes. His hair is disheveled, his eyes are red, and his hands shake as he holds a whiskey glass. The formerly booming leader of Sister Wives appears more of a man tormented by spirits than a reality TV personality. And here's the truth: nobody will speak. When the limelight recedes, it doesn't merely fade. It leaves you out in the cold face-to-face with yourself. Picture yourself building an empire, amassing wives, children, and notoriety. Picture yourself standing atop it all, asserting to the world you were the leader, the protector, the man with the plan. Now picture losing it all in one ruling, one tape, one instant. That's Kody Brown's life tonight. And the only question remaining is this: how far will a broken man travel when he has nothing left to lose? The news cycles have slowed, but the sting persists. Every time Cody walks into town, He feels the whispers, witnesses the stares. That's him, people whisper. That's the guy who lost everything. Christine, however, has emerged like a phoenix. She publishes a memoir that rockets to bestseller lists. Janelle accompanies her on public speaking engagement. The two of them tall, recounting their histories of freedom and strength. Even Meri starts forging her own way, getting out of the darkness in which she lived. And then there's Robyn, formerly the most protected, now the most exposed. Her home is like a cage, reporters occasionally parked outside, fans directing their frustration at her for siding with Cody too long. But the most perilous storm is not out there. It's raging in Cody himself. For a man who has lost everything will bet on anything. Weeks following the verdict, Cody musters what's left of his pride, and into an attorney's office storms. He bangs a folder down on the desk. We're going to appeal. I want Christine back in court. The attorney sighs, scanning the paper. Cody, you have no ground. The tape, the proof, airtight. You'll just lose more if you pursue them. You're already bankrupting yourself in attorney fees. Cody's jaw clenches. Then we'll do it another way. She can't win. Not like that. Not over me. But inside, even Cody knows, this fight isn't about winning anymore. It's about pride. About control. About not conceding the truth. Isn't it crazy how the deadliest fights are against reality itself? At the same time, Christine and Janelle sit on a comfortable Utah couch, laughter hanging in the air. For the first time in decades, they are finally free. Free of manipulation, free of secrets, free of the burden Cody once bore over them. Do you ever think he'll let it go? Janelle asks, sipping on tea. Christine gently shakes her head. Cody doesn't release. He hangs on. But the tighter he keeps his grip, the quicker everything slips away. Those words prove to be prophetic. In Flagstaff, Robyn finally has reached her breaking point. One evening, as Cody rants about Christine on another livestream, Robyn closes the laptop and looks at him. Cody, stop. Stop battling phantom. Christine is deceased. Janelle is deceased. Even Meri is deceased. You lost them. And you lost this case. Don't pull me down with. Cody scowls, his face reddening with rage. You're supposed to stay with me. You're supposed to be loyal. Robyn's voice trembles, but her tone is as biting as ever. Loyalty to what? To a man who ruined his family. To a husband who valued pride over love. I won't do this anymore. The ensuing silence is more heavy-handed than any courtroom decision, because sometimes the failure of a marriage doesn't end in shouting. It ends in silence that speaks volume. The public doesn't relent. Paparazzi take photos of Robyn leaving the house, with boxes in tow. Headlines blare. Robyn leaves Cody. The last wife walks away. Fans celebrate. Social media is filled with posts. Karma came full circle. Christine and Janelle were right. He did this to himself. Cody attempts a last-ditch effort to regain control of the narrative. He books a one-on-one sit-down interview, hoping to be cast as the victim. But when the cameras are rolling, something different occurs. The interviewer leans in. Cody, if you could turn back time, would you do anything differently? For a moment, the bravado disappears. The rage disappears. And in the soft crack of his voice, the honesty comes out. I thought control was love. I thought being the boss would mean they never would leave. But maybe I was wrong. The interview concludes not with salvation, but with a haunting photograph, a shattered man finally becoming aware of the price of his pride. Isn't it tragic when the learning comes too late? Christine, Janelle, and even Meri observe the interview from distance. None of them call him. None of them contact. For the very first time, they're existing without the weight of Cody's path holding them down. And maybe that is the real verdict. Not the $3 million suit. Not the tape. Not the firestorm of media attention. The actual punishment is this. Kody Brown is alone. Truly, utterly, heartbreakingly alone. The last shot takes place not in a courtroom, not at a family reunion, but in the stillness of Cody's vacant house. The cameras follow him through empty halls, his footsteps echoing off the walls. He stops at the wall covered with old family portraits, smiling faces, children at play, wives on his arm. He removes the frames one by one, places them in a box, and closes it. The man who founded his life on family lives now without one. And as the screen goes dark, there's one last question left in the hearts of all who watched. If power, pride, and control were worth losing the very people you said you loved, was it ever worth it?